Hello, all. This is Devin from the Hill Turn Podcast with my first review of NXT 2.0. And it started off with a match, which is nice. Instead of people coming out talking, and yeah, it was the semifinals match for the Dusty Rhodes Classic, which will take the finals will take place next week at Vengeance Day. It was the Creed brothers versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, and it was a pretty solid match. It showed off the Creed brothers' versatile grappling, I would say, and how they just work great as a team with that. They're both pretty similar in their styles. Obviously, Brutus is more of the powerhouse, but still, Julius also has his power moves as well. They're just an impressive team either way. This match, like I said, it was pretty solid. It had a nice spot towards the end where Julius Creed ran up Brutus Creed's back to suplex Zach Gibson, and pretty much that wasn't it, but Brutus Clay gave the final blow for the pin. But I feel like it gave them the right amount of momentum going into the finals, which it kind of tosses up who will come out of this. Next, we had Tiffany Stratton versus Wendy Chu. Uh, this was a weird build up to it because it showed Wendy Chu with Amari Miller coming in, and I guess they went shopping or something, and she was like, "Oh, too bad the card declined." And at the bottom, it said it was earlier today. And I mean, I know the timeline isn't like, oh, perfect, like, oh, that happened at 2 p.m. But still, if you stole the credit card last week and it just declined this week and you still not in jail, I don't know what to say about that. But they had a match, her and Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany Stratton defeated Wendy Chu with like a corkscrew splash from the top rope. It was pretty nice. And I guess that put it into the whole credit card thing. Like throughout the match, you would ask, like, where's my credit card? I'm like, I thought it was declined. I mean, not declined, like it was canceled. Like, why are you worried about it? But moving on, Joe Gacy was seen in a digital exclusive trying to recruit Draco Anthony. Now, Draco Anthony, I was questioning his entire debut because they had this whole video montage about how he trains at 2 a.m. Good for him. He has a military background. Okay. He does all this stuff for the hype, comes in and he loses. What does that do? I don't know if this guy's going forward or he's staging, going backwards. He just lost. You hyped me up for a loss. And he was going against Pete Dunne. So I already knew he was definitely going to lose. I'm like, now this is going to set his momentum back even further. Because now you have these back-to-back losses. And then you got Joe Gacy in your ear trying to recruit you. I don't think he's the right person for him, but he definitely does need somebody because, no, if you training at 2 o'clock in the morning and you still losing, you might as well just train at 8. This match, it was pretty much your Pete Dunne yoga match, which I'm not saying that as an insult to his wrestling style. I actually like it. Like I said, he twists your arm, stretches you out, step on your fingers and stuff, bites your toenails, all that stuff. And Tony D'Angelo came out to distract Pete Dunne. And regardless of that, Pete Dunne still pulled out the victory. And they pretty much tried to fight outside the ring. Tony D'Angelo said, "This guy's Looney Tunes." I can't say it the way he did, but it was kind of a the line was it was a nice timing for the line. It was pretty funny to me. And Pete Dunne was saying like, "Oh, you're gonna need more than a crowbar to beat me." And pretty much now we're gonna get a weaponized steel cage. So there's gonna be weapons in the steel cage. I think on the steel cage, they're in it. They're in it, which I think is a nice addition because at first I just saw steel cage and I'm just like, steel cage, okay, crawl out, crawl over, whatever. But now it's weapons, so hopefully they get creative with that and give us a really nice weaponized cage match next week at Vengeance Day. So that match pretty much just set up for their match at Vengeance Day. And then also Joe Gacy trying to recruit Draco Anthony. Like I said, Draco Anthony needs somebody. I just don't think that's who he needs. A show full of segments. It was Zoe Stark and Io Shirai, and basically Zoe Stark was asking, like, "Oh, since I'm hurt, who you gonna tag with?" And she was just like, "Oh, I'm not telling you." So that's how that went. It was short and I guess planting a seed for who Io Shirai is gonna tag with. Next, we had LA Knight going up against Sanga. Sanga, who wore Braun Strowman's pants, but doesn't want to tell anybody. I know they fit. You guys are both the same size, but I've seen those pants before. In this match, it went pretty much the way you would expect it to go. LA Knight is a lot smaller, not too small, but smaller than Sanga. So he had to do a lot of quick strikes, things off the rope, didn't knock him over because he's so big. And Grayson Waller was there because obviously that's his bodyguard. I guess he's there to protect his body, not protect, well, watch over his bodyguard. Why not? He went to go take the turnbuckle pad off. Referee sees this. And instead of this working in for the favor of Sanga, LA Knight pokes him in his eye, stuns him, pushes him into the exposed turnbuckle, hits a neck breaker, and that's all she wrote. Now, at first, I'm like, a neck breaker on him? Like, after that, really? But we got to also factor in the finger to the eye. Now he's stunned. Now he hits the exposed turnbuckle. That's more damage. So the finish makes sense. And it pretty much just added more fuel to the feud between LA Knight and Grayson Waller. Where later on, Grayson Waller said next week we will see LA Knight be arrested. That's right, arrested. While Wendy Choo is still out there taking people's credit cards, using them till they decline. And Kaylee Ray is kidnapping people and bringing them back, apparently. But LA Knight's going to jail. We had an NXT Championship Summit, in parentheses, contract. It wasn't a contract signing, but it had the vibes of it. You had the table and the two people that's gonna fight and a mediator. You already know somebody gonna flip the table and start swinging, which it didn't really get to that so fast. They were interrupted by Dolph Ziggler. That's right, Dolph Ziggler, who has been in a beef with Braun Breaker on the internet, which I guess brought him to Tuesday nights. And he pretty much just said, "Hey, who are you? I'm Dolph Ziggler. I've done this. I did that. Woo, woo, woo." All right, planting some seeds. I just didn't like how it kind of like just cast a shadow on Santos when he's the one in the championship match. Next week, I'm trying to get ready for that match. Now you're throwing these other, which is nice to throw in some seeds while you still got this going. But I wanted more hype for that championship match. That they were interrupted by Tommaso Ciampa, another person in the mix, which then again, I guess I can't complain because now it's even. Dolph Ziggler and Ciampa, they fought all the way outside. Braun Breaker ended up in the table, and pretty much it just planted the seeds for maybe a Tommaso Ciampa match with Dolph Ziggler. Obviously, you got Braun Breaker, maybe a Tommaso Ciampa match with Dolph Ziggler. Next, we had Saray versus Dakota Kai. And in this match, it was pretty good. It wasn't too long, wasn't too short. Saray defeated Dakota Kai. And I just don't know what they're doing with Dakota Kai. They don't give her the title. They're not calling her up to the main roster. She's just kind of just in circles on her way. Had Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams with another segment, in a barbershop. That's right. It was a barbershop. It was like WWE's The Shop, I'll say. Not WWE Shop, but The Shop. And it was just a regular promo of like, oh, I'm better than Cameron Grimes. I'm the money. I'm do this, in a barbershop. So I guess that's different. It's Black History Month. I guess if I was a wrestler, I'd probably be in the barbershop saying I would do that to that guy too. But it was a promo nonetheless, just in a barbershop. I don't know how to feel about it yet. It was different. But yeah, just more promo for their title match next week. Next, you had another segment. Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta and Toxic Attraction trying to kind of get in their heads, mess with them. They get into a fight, and pretty much, I guess, we're just hearing, oh, stop, and then they cut away. Then we had MSK versus Malik Blade and Edris and Enofe in the next semifinals for the Dusty Rhodes Classic taking place next week. The winner of this match will take on the Creed brothers in the finals. And this was a really nice, hard-hitting, match. They were pretty matched evenly to me in terms of like size and style, I'll say. Whereas, like MSK is just, they kind of give me the vibe of a small, like they're a smaller frame a bit, but they're still equal footing in this match. And it was a match that really looked like MSK was gonna lose. But after a weird, awkward near fall, they were able to pull it out. But I like the way that Malik Blade and Edris looked in this match because I know they lost. They're out of the tournament, but it wasn't a loss like, oh yeah, you're a loser. It was more like, hey, just a few moves, more or less, you would have won. And lastly, we had our main event, Mandy Rose versus Kaylee Ray for the NXT Women's Championship. And in this match, pretty much the fight earlier, Indy Hartwell, Persia Parada, and Toxic Attraction led into this. And apparently we found out in the middle of the match that they were escorted from the arena and or building. And I was hoping that would be it. We get a clean finish. But hey, that's not gonna happen here. Apparently, they weren't escorted out of the building as Toxic Attraction would come to the ring. Kaylee Ray pretty much had it in the bag, distracted her. Mandy Rose was able to put her away, and wasn't a clean finish as I thought it was going to be. And obviously, they're just trying to prolong this feud until I don't know what. I really can't tell what the end game with this is going to be, but they're not going to have this match next week at Vengeance Day. And if it would have ended like this at Vengeance Day, that would have been pretty messed up. But all in all, this was a very heavy segmented NXT 2.0. It had some nice matches in between, 3 women matches at that, but just very segment heavy. And there were even other segments that I won't even bother touching on in this review because it did nothing. It did nothing. But I did find out that somebody out there pays $20 to see movies, which I agree. Ticket prices are high, but why do I need to know that in NXT 2.0? I don't know. For the go-home show for Vengeance Day, it could have hit in certain spots a bit better, especially hyping me more for Ron Breaker. And they were trying to put too many soups in there. Like, it's too many feuds they're trying to build right on top of a championship match. Maybe if you found a way to kind of introduce those stuff after that match, then it would be less convoluted. But hey, we will see how Vengeance Day turns out next week. This has been my first review of NXT 2.0. As you can see, the craziness and just very out of nowhereness of it really took me for a loop. But hey, I still reviewed it. So I will be here next week to let you know how Vengeance Day went. And if I won't say hype. It was, I was more hyped for Vengeance Day last week than I was this week. I'll put it that way. Still, wasn't a horrible episode, but it wasn't the best episode to lead up to a Vengeance Day type of episode. So that's all from me. I will see you guys, or you guys will hear me in the next Heel Turn episode, and I will catch you next week for my next NXT 2.0 review. I'm out.